Good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 7th of July, 2023. Thank you for joining me here on Morning Brew on Labour Social. So, just first of all, get into the chat here. We've got loads of chat, so I was a little bit late getting started. I will continue on at the end a little bit longer than I otherwise would have done. Mrs. Speaker, I need to know whether you have seen my coffee pint yet, says Scoopnam. Don't really understand a lot of the stuff that Scoopnam says on these chats. It's quite confusing. Perry says, hello from a left of centre social democrat, as opposed to the democratic socialist, who still believes in responsible capitalism, but admittedly is losing faith in the latter. Don't blame you, Perry, the way things have gone over the last 20, 30, 40 years of this is what happens when we allow lunatics who worship money over everything else, over human decency, over family, over friendships, over doing the right thing. This is what happens. This is the situation that we have got ourselves into. And the headline is that this week saw the hottest day on record in at least 125,000 years. That was Monday this week, the hottest day globally on record that we have. That was then surpassed on Tuesday by an even hotter day. And I know that the weather this year is going to be affected by El Nino in the Pacific, but even so, this is beyond anything that we have ever faced before as a planet, as a global crisis. Because when we talk about, say, the nuclear arms race of the 1950s and 60s with America and the Soviet Union, that was in the control of humans. We could choose, and we did, thank God, choose not to fire nuclear weapons. In this situation, I don't think we have much of a choice now, because we did have a choice 40 years ago when we first discovered that the Earth was getting hotter and we really needed to do something about it. Specifically, that there was more CO2 in the atmosphere than there had ever been in the last 100,000 years. That was a bit of a concern for scientists who said, well, the more CO2 we have in the atmosphere, once it goes over sort of 400 parts per million, the Earth is going to get gradually hotter and hotter and hotter. And then we're going to be hitting these tipping points in which, say, the ice caps melt, the Greenland melts. What that causes is the fact that the ice up there reflects a lot of sunlight. It reflects a lot of heat. Without the heat being deflected, it being absorbed into the ocean or absorbed into Greenland, that's a huge problem. Again, tipping point. So we hit these tipping points and things start getting worse very, very quickly. And this has all happened quicker than a lot of scientists predicted. And don't forget, there's still people out there who think this is a hoax. To which I just want to put this picture. This was done by Joel Pett. Around the 2009 climate change summit in Copenhagen. And I remember this well because at the time I was on the Odyssey expedition, traveling around the world to every country without flying. And I was doing that partly because it was an environmentally friendly, the friendliest way that I could do that, and to try and prove that you can have fun and travel around the world without actually destroying it in the process. This cartoon came out and it's absolutely brilliant. Look at the things on the screen there. You got energy independence, preserve rainforests, sustainability, green jobs, livable cities, renewables, clean air, clean water, clean air, healthy children, etc., etc. And there's a guy at the back saying, "What if it's a big hoax and we create a better world for nothing?" And that's it. That is it in a nutshell. I want that rammed down the throat of every person who says, there's nothing to worry about. It's just a cyclical thing. The world naturally gets hotter and colder. Scientists didn't know everything. They used to think the world was flat. No, we didn't. We never thought the world was flat. Not since ancient Greek times when they discovered the actual circumference of the planet. They worked it out, which is quite impressive, really, because then they just did it with 2 sticks in Egypt. But they did it, and they were only a few miles out. They knew it was round. Do you think that the King and Queen of Spain gave some Italian 3 of their ships, which would have cost the equivalent of millions of pounds or dollars or whatever you're using these days, pieces of 8, and to sail off the edge of the world? No, no, no. They wanted a quicker way to India, and they thought they could get there because the world was round. Oh, mate. So yeah, that just sums it up to me. That cartoon, the blithe attitude that we've seen because people want to make money and they don't care. These are the same people who are making money that take their children and have a nanny look after them until they're old enough to go to a boarding school, and they send them off to these posh borstals where these poor little bastards are horrible things happen to them. They're horrifically abused in these borstals. They call them private schools, but they're essentially the same thing. Bullying is rife. Sexual abuse is rife. In fact, in some of these privately owned institutions, which you can imagine, like if there was a McDonald's in which the manager was sexually abusing the staff, I would imagine that McDonald's would be closed down. I think that's how it would work, or maybe not because it's a franchise operation. Okay, well maybe like a local restaurant in which the owner of the restaurant is abusing their staff, and then they get turfed out, but the restaurant remains, and the people who have the money in the restaurant, they get to stay there. That's what happens in our private schools. Every time there's some Nancy teacher who's found to be abusing children, the school continues. It doesn't get shut down. It's a private freaking enterprise. It's a private enterprise. It's a private money making enterprise. It doesn't pay tax. And yet it continues. And still, people send their kids to these same schools. They're like, oh, that school that's famous for abusing children. I think I'll send my child to that school. So you've got to think about the psychology of the people who are in charge, who have the money, that they care so little about their own children that they will offer them up almost to abusers and say, hey, do you want to abuse my child? And they're the people who don't care about the future because they don't care about their children. They don't care about their grandchildren. They don't care about anything but themselves and having more money. No yacht is big enough for these people. They are psychopaths and they are in charge. And it's terrifying. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that climate change is getting out of control. That's the headline today. The unofficial data analysis shows that the average global temperature in the 7 days leading up to Wednesday were the highest on record. On Tuesday, the average global air temperature was 17.18 degrees Celsius, surpassing the previous record set on Monday. This is the University of Maine's climate reanalyzer data confirms that the average temperature on the 7-day period ending Wednesday was the highest in 44 years of record keeping. And it's not just the temperature of the planet that's gone through the frickin' roof. We're also seeing the temperature of the water around us. The Atlantic Ocean is the hottest it's ever been. The amount of melt from the Greenland glaciers and snow in Greenland is off the charts. It's the highest it's ever been by a lot, not by like a little tiny amount. Have a look at the graphs. They go through the roof. It is terrifying. And so if Just Stop Oil decide to go and, I don't know, disrupt Wimbledon or the rugby or the snooker, good. I'm sorry. I will disagree with people over this because people are like, well, why are they disrupting people going about their everyday life? Weirdly, a stop clock is right twice a day. I actually agree with what Owen Jones said this week about Just Stop Oil protest, which is like, look at the suffragettes. I mean, what the Just Stop Oil people are doing is nothing in the same vicinity as what the suffragettes did. I mean, like the suffragettes, 5 people died during the protests with the suffragettes. But we look back now and we say, well, that was a righteous cause. So imagine looking back on this now in 30 years' time, because it's not just about things getting hotter and skin cancer rates going through the roof, which they are and will get even worse over the next few years. It's not just about that. It's about the fact that we are rendering vast swathes of habitable land inhabitable. And once that happens, ladies and gentlemen, once we render these places deserts, or people can't live there. Maybe the filthy rich can still live in deserts with air conditioning, but the vast majority of people on the planet can't afford air conditioning. They cannot live. People cannot live in a furnace. They cannot live in an oven that's over 40 degrees every day. So what happens? People move. We will have the biggest mass migration of humans ever in the history of the world. And what's going to happen as a result of that? We'll have what we always have. We always have right-wing dickhead governments getting in and what they call strongmen governments and autocrats saying, I will protect you against this flood of people coming from another place. Yeah, we caused that flood. We could have done something about it. You know that dickhead Cameron, the one who wanted the referendum? Now he's in the south of France with his trotters up. You remember him? Yeah, David Cameron. Yeah, he put the kibosh on green building. People, they had new green building codes, which would have meant things like solar panels would be installed as standard on all new builds. All new builds. He also put the kibosh on and banned the installation of wind farms on the land in the UK. You can't get planning permission, in England and Wales. You can't build wind farms in England because of the Tories. They put a moratorium on it at a time when we are desperate to reduce our emissions. And the Tories, they want to give new licenses to pump out millions of tons worth of oil and burn it and put it into the atmosphere from the North Sea. And they say, we're going to use carbon capture technology. No, you're not, you lying bastards. What are you talking about, using carbon capture technology? How are you going to do that? I've spoken about this before. I don't get it. Someone wants to explain to me in the chat how it works. Please do, because I'm all ears, right? So let me get this straight. We suck. We've got this liquid in the ground here, and then we suck it out. We suck it out using very clever methods, not gravity, obviously, because that would be weird. I think we pump it out of the ground. There we go. All that oil there. We've filled up our cup with oil. Now we take this away from the oil platform and we refine it into different bits of oil depending on what we want to use it for. So the really heavy stuff goes to make roads, and then we have the slightly lighter stuff that goes off to make fuel, and then we've got the very light stuff that I guess goes to make plastics and things. That's how it works, isn't it? The defractylation or something, whatever it's called. I remember learning about it in school. And then all those products go off into the world, and you fill your car up with this oil, right? That's been pumped out of it and refined as petrol, diesel, whatever. You put it into your car, and then you're driving along, and it's burning in your internal combustion engine, and these fumes are coming out the back with CO2. How do you capture that? How does the oil company capture that CO2 that at the point of ignition? The point of it actually being burned and turned into vapor, turned into a gas that is going into the atmosphere and destroying the planet. How do they do that? They don't. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie. I'm going to have to just jump into the super chats because I realize there are 2 super chats that I have missed. I see them at the corner of my eye. Actually, I can't actually see the super chat. Oh, yeah, there they are. I've got 3 super chats. Oh, my giddy aunt. I'm very sorry for missing all these. Stephen Durant says, methane is a bigger issue than CO2. Eat fewer animals. That's from Stephen. They're both a huge issue, Stephen. Thank you for the super chat, but they're both an absolutely massive issue. Yes, you are right. We need to do something about methane as well, which is why I don't eat beef. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, I try not to eat any beef at all because it is the most polluting meat that you can eat. And I try and cut down on other meat things as well because it's bad for the environment. So we have at least 1 or sometimes 2 vegetarian days each week where we just eat vegetarian. It's not the same as being a full vegetarian or full vegan. And if you can do that, respect to you. But I think an easier way in for a lot of us is to say, right, let's suck off beef because it's crap anyway, and people go on and on about steaks, and everyone understands steaks. Everyone's like, "This is amazing! It's the most amazing thing you can ever eat," and I'm like, "Okay, the pepper sauce is nice, but the steak, it's just meat, isn't it? I don't know. I just don't get it. People, it's one of those things that people like go on and on and on about how amazing it is, and you just don't get it. A bit like the movie Anchorman. It's it's the funniest film ever, and I watched about half an hour of it, and I went, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, getting off the topic here. David Faulkner, 38 Hong Kong dollars. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, here in Asia, we're all looking forward to drinking bottled Fukushima water imported from Japan. It's going to be glowing. That's in the news that they're going to put spent fuel into the ocean. Spent nuclear fuel. Well, no, it's not fuel, is it? It's the water that was used to cool it down, and it would have got some radiation in it, but they reckon that the radiation levels in the water that they're currently storing in million gallon tanks, when it goes into the sea, it'll be so diluted, it'll be same as background radiation anyway. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole radiation thing blows my mind because I'm scared of all radiation. I think all radiation's bad. But I find it really interesting when you see people who are like sunning themselves on a beach, like literally baking their skin, literally causing their skin to go darker because it's burning, right, from the radiation from the sun, which is the same radiation that you have in a nuclear power station, pretty much. It just gives you cancer. It's still pretty bad for you. And they're going, oh, I'm going to drink this water. It's bad for you. And I'm like, you literally lying in the sun there. You know, why do you think I wear such a big hat? Anyway, Mad Monk, £5 super chat. Thank you very much. 3 reasons for this chat. 1, you're doing a good job. Thank you very much. 2, want the Tories out. 3, 3, my name is on your Ginger Island house that's going to disappear. Well, yes. I mean, look, all things being equal, I could live without my island because it's not something that I use every day. But the family who live there, I think, would be a bit miffed if the whole island went underwater, which it might do very much over the next few years. Fortunately, the house that's there at the moment is up on stilts, so the water levels would have to rise considerably. And if they rose that much, I think our biggest concerns would be, like, I don't know, New York and Singapore and London, which would go underwater first. Anyway, yeah, what Graham is saying is key. Species move, always have and always will. The migration wave is going to be beyond Hughes. Nothing the racists can do about it. I know exactly. You know these racists saying, "Oh, we're gonna stop the boats." No, you're not. You want to stop the boats? Stop people coming over Stop people needing to come over here in the first place. How about that, eh? How about you stop needing? Like, how about you actually sort of broke a peace in these conflicts in Eritrea, in Sudan, in Libya? Why didn't you get involved? You know, didn't moan about it and say, oh, we got these people coming over from Yemen. Yeah, well, the people in Yemen have been bombed by people from Yemen as well, but also by the Saudi Arabians. That's it for years. Syria, Afghanistan. You know, oh, would you people, well, you know, do a deal with the Taliban. Just sit down, have a conversation with them. Say, listen, stop making life hell for your people and we'll make your life a little bit better. We tried for 20 years to stop the Taliban from coming back, and we failed miserably. One of the reasons for that is because we wouldn't legalize heroin, or we wouldn't buy heroin from Afghanistan for medical purposes. Well, opium, anyway. You know, the derivatives, methadone. I don't know, whatever medical things. Actually, no, heroin still is on the medical list. You can actually be prescribed heroin. I'd be a bit of a brave GP that actually does prescribe heroin for one of their patients, but you can still get it. There's a company in Scotland called McFarlane's and Sons or something like that, who have the only license in the UK for importing legal heroin, but they can only do so from Turkey. They can't do it from Afghanistan because I don't know. Anyway, Johnny and Copperhead says all photosynthesis turns CO2 to all photosynthesizers turn CO2 to oxygen. That's from Johnny Copperhead there. And also we've got Darren Christian, £5 super chat, thank you. Have you not heard of the new breed of unicorn that lives on CO2 and methane? No, I haven't. And it's not just that we've been belching out this disgusting oil into the atmosphere. We've been doing other stuff that's just as crazy, like the cutting down of all the mangroves in Florida, for instance. Mangroves are not just essential for, you know, plant life and fish life and all that kind of stuff, aquatic life. They are also hold the land together. You know, they stop erosion. They're fantastic, incredible trees, incredible plants, and they are an amazing store of carbon, because they don't just, like, I don't know, I think people have an idea that trees sort of breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. It doesn't quite work that way, and a lot of the carbon dioxide that's absorbed by trees is done so when they're growing. So when they're fully grown, not as much carbon dioxide is actually being pulled in. But with mangroves, they constantly pull in CO2 throughout their lifespan, and also they bury it not in the trunk of the tree. So if the tree gets burnt, then all that CO2 gets released. No, they bury it in the ground beneath they bury it through the roots into the ground beneath the tree. So it actually locks the carbon back into the ground where it arguably belongs. But there you go. So yeah, don't concrete gardens. That's a good point. One of the problems that we have as well, that we stupidly keep doing, is we keep concreting over stuff. One of the really good ideas that people have had is putting solar panels up in car parks and outside the supermarket, just loads and loads of solar panels. Why not? Solar panels are so cheap right now. It's one of the cheapest forms of generating electricity. You've got all this dead space where we put cars for a few hours a day. It's not even like 24/7. So when the cars are there during the daylight hours, why not have the cars in shade so they're not so hot when you get back to them, especially in summer, or they're not covered in snow when you get back to them in winter. And then on top of that, you have solar panels. You have little roofs that you go under, little carports, not even, whatever. But that would be a really cheap, insanely cheap compared with the alternative of us all dying a violent death. And that is essentially what we're talking about here at the end of the day. I know it's the morning and we don't want to depress the crap out of everybody, but here's the facts. For every part per million of CO2 we add to the atmosphere, you could chart a graph, the exact same line, right? Going up in that upward trajectory. And that is the chances of you, your children, and your grandchildren dying violent deaths. It's horrible. But that's what we're facing. And these scumbags in government don't care. They don't give a shit. They just don't care. They're too busy feathering their own nests, giving money to their friends, jobs for the boys. Michelle Mone and her £1 million yacht that she really needed in the middle of a pandemic when 225,000 people were dying. She's like, oh, I can make some money out of this. I can profit from this. Just because I went to university with David Cameron. Holmes playing the violin would have been even worse without opium. Same with grasslands. Grass, even crops like wheat, etc., lock in CO2 into the soil. So if not ploughed, it helps. That's why minimum tillage is increasing practice in arable farmers and needs to be. Phil, yeah. And that taps into a really interesting point about all this, which is that going back to our cartoon here, right? Going back to our cartoon. All those things are things we need. Energy independence. Let's talk about this. Energy independence. Imagine that no one was dependent on Russia for gas. How would have that gone? Do you think they would have invaded Ukraine? They thought they could use gas as their trump card to say, hey, don't complain about us invading Ukraine a second time. Or we'll shut the gas off. I mean, the EU moved heaven and earth to make, replace that gas from other sources, but we're still reliant on places like Qatar, which hasn't got a great human rights record, killed 6,000 people in the process of building those stadiums in the desert, in the searing heat, with slave labor, in the run-up to the 2022 World Cup. Which is an absolutely disgraceful display of the arrogance and the psychopathy. Is that a word? The craziness of these rich people who just don't care. They just don't care. They're all sociopaths. They just don't care about that. Don't care about these people. They can all freaking die as well. Like I said, why are we giving Qatar money? Why are we giving Libya money? Why are we giving Angola money? Why are we giving these places that have got terrible tyrants in charge of their countries? The common people there are being killed, slaughtered in their own homes. And we're giving the people who are doing that money. Saudi Arabia, the country that not only spread its Wahhabist craziness around the whole of the entire Arab world and the Muslim world, actually, which is one of the things that's held back the Muslim world for years, because the Muslim world had an amazing scientific revolution of 500 years before the Renaissance. They were doing experiments. They were doing algebra. They came up with the name algebra. And then this Wahhabist sect in Saudi Arabia grew in, I don't know, 15th, 16th century. Someone correct me in the chat. And they spread it around. They had these madrasa schools where how you graduate from your madrasa school is if you memorize the Quran. Great. Do you need any other skills? No, just memorize the Quran. Okay, cool. I don't know what these people are going to, grow up like, but there you go. Let's have these schools in Indonesia, in Pakistan, in Morocco. Yeah, great. Let's put them everywhere. Why are we giving the Saudis money when they are bombing Yemen? Why are we giving the Saudis money when they are prolonging the Palestine-Israel conflict for their own ends? Why are we giving them money every day? Why are we giving them billions of dollars every day for their oil when we could just generate our own electricity, generate our own energy for our tide power, through our sun, the little sunshine we get, but it still works, through our wind energy. We could make this island completely self-sufficient, and we don't. And it's weird because the people who call themselves patriots are the ones who don't want it the most. They're like, no, I want to be a servile nation under the yoke of the Saudis. Yes. You're like, why? Why do you want that? I don't know. Just because sovereignty. But it's not sovereignty. It's the absolute opposite of sovereignty. Maybe we should call it energy sovereignty, and that will get the dingbats on board as well. Preserve rainforests, absolutely massively important. At the moment, the Bornean rainforest is being deforested at such a horrific rate and being replaced with palm trees. Lines and lines of palm trees. Orangutans can't live in palm trees, If they try to climb a palm tree, they'll snap it like a twig. These are big animals. Like a fully grown male orangutan can pull your arms out of the sockets like a bloody Wookiee. They are, big animals. And we're destroying their environment. They're destroying their habitat. And again, this is another tipping point. The more that we deforest, that our arsehole Bolsonaro, who hopefully will be facing a rather large jail sentence sometime in the future. I know he's barred from politics for 10 years, but that's not enough for me. He's the guy who decided that it'd be a great idea to try and get rid of as much Brazilian rainforest as he possibly could in the time that he could. The biggest rainforest in the world, the Amazon. And then we have the rainforest that's around the borders with, Nigeria and Cameroon, which is being absolutely decimated, filled with oil, covered in oil by the oil companies. Great, thanks for that. All across Africa, where these Western companies have gone and exploited the natural resources that are there without care for the people who live there. Go and have a look at what they've done in the Port Harcourt area of Nigeria. It's absolutely disgusting. They've got these pipelines that come in out of the sea, and they have leaks all the way along them. I mean, some people actually drill into them to steal the oil, which is understandable. This is a very poor country we're dealing with Nigeria. But there's no protection for the oil. They have hundreds and hundreds of leaks. It all gets into the water, streams, kills all the fish. Fishermen got no way of actually having, being able to sustain themselves. It's, preserving the rainforest. It's just all part of the whole thing of this would make the world a better place. Even if there was no such thing as climate change, we should be doing this anyway. Sustainability. Energy sovereignty. We should be doing that anyway. Green jobs. The amount of great jobs that we can create in the green energy sector is amazing. And do you know what? The jobs that you consider for the dirty energy companies, right? Do you want to be a diver for oil rigs? Do you? Do you want to be a diver for oil rigs? Did you see what happened to the Titan sub? Yeah? Yeah? Do you really want to go down into the darkness under the ocean and fix a pipe that's going into the ocean 4 miles down? Nah, you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing that. It's one of the most dangerous professions on earth. Before then, everyone was going down coal mines. One of the most dangerous professions on earth. You'd have people dying at the age of 39 of black lung, and their children working in the mine. Tory MPs going, oh, well, we can't stop children from working down the mines. How will people get through the small holes? We'll have to make the holes bigger. Won't make as much profit then. That actually happened. The horrible, horrible jobs. Jobs in the oil industry are horrible. They are dirty, horrible jobs, and the people who have to do them, the horrible bits of it, not the glam sort of bits, and the penthouses, all the money people. No, the actual people who are driving the oil tankers and things like that. It is a dirty, disgusting, horrible job that curtails the life of the people who do that job. Green energy doesn't. Green energy, you could spend all day putting up wind farms. You're not going to face the same horrific sort of lifestyle as someone who worked down a mine. It's a highly technical job. You get well paid for it. You're you're out in the elements. You know, great. Anyway, what we got? Livable cities. Oh my God, livable cities, please. I don't live in a livable city. I live in Durham, where the bus doesn't even run on Sundays. So if I want to go to the city centre, it would be a 10-minute bus journey, but Arriva, which is owned by some foreign company, don't want to take me there because it's not profitable or something. I have to walk. You want me to take my bike? Oh, you want me to take my bike, do you, on the roads of Durham, where we have these little country roads with hedgerows and blind turns and bumps and the hills and crests and things that you can't see over? Should we do that? Yeah. Should we do that? Yeah. I'll cycle along there. Yeah. You know, the cars are going at 60 miles an hour. That's only 10 miles an hour off the speed limit for a motorway. These little single lane roads. I'm supposed to be there on my bike. When I put the kids on the back, should I have a little trolley on the back of my bike as I'm going into the town on a Sunday because I can't get the bus? Yeah? No, I want a livable frickin' city. I want a city that I can get around easily on a bike. I can walk. I'm not worried about getting hit by a car or a truck. And why ban bloody 18-wheelers going into cities during the day? That's it. If you want to do deliveries, you do them in the night time. And you're only allowed to go on certain roads. That's it. The end of. Don't get me started on ULEZ. Bring it on. I think we should have ULEZ for the whole bloody country myself. Right, what else have we got? Renewables. Excellent. Renewable energy. It's infinite. We're not going to run out. You know, we've already run out of the easy-to-reach oil. All we've got now is the hard-to-reach stuff. You know? Great. I'm going to have to wrap up because I'm 3 minutes over. Clean water. Yeah. Who doesn't want clean water? Who doesn't want clean air? Who's like, no, I want my children to breathe in toxic gas. That's what I want them every day. I want them to go to school and breathe in toxic freaking gas. Why? Well, I don't know, because I'm just a stupid idiot Generation X or boomer scumbag. I have no idea why someone would want their child to have to breathe in noxious, toxic fumes. Any smokers out there who smoke in front of their children? Yeah, it's nothing down for you. Anyway, and then healthy children. On to the next thing. One of the things that happened with the ban on smoking is it meant that people stopped smoking in their own homes because they realized that when everything didn't smell of smoke like it used to 20 years ago, they realized how horrible the smell was in their own home, so they started smoking outside. As a result of that, asthma rates with children who don't live near airports has gone through the floor. Like, asthma rates have come down a lot as a direct result of that. The only reason why asthma in inner cities like London remains stubbornly high is because of the airport and because of all the air pollution coming out of the cars. Bring on the ULEZ, I say. Bring it on. Frank says, brings back memories of when I used to travel from Sedgefield to Durham Station. Yeah, I mean, there's a train station up the road from me. Like, it's about 2-minute walk. That was there. There was a line. It was a single track line until the 1960s, and then they pulled it up. Could just put a tram on it. Just put a light car on it. Do you know what I mean? Have it, and I'll be able to just get the train into town. They concreted over the two platforms where the extra. There's only 2 platforms at Durham Station now. There used to be 4. Yeah, the 2 for going up to Scotland and down to London, and then you had the 2 local ones, which aren't there anymore. So anyway, thank you very much for the £5 super chat there, Frank. Anyway, so that's basically what I wanted to talk about today was the climate, because it's terrifying, and I want other people to share in my terror, and my frustration, and my... Anyway, normal service will be resumed at 1 o'clock today when I'll be back for the agenda with Phil Morehouse, and we'll be talking about politics. We'll be talking about politics. I think Johnny Mercer's going to get mentioned a lot. Did anyone see him on Question Time last night? Oh my God. Yeah, we'll be talking about that. And then I'll be putting some more videos up at the weekend, I'm sure. I'm going to try and do a Labour social tonight at 9 o'clock. However, there are some issues going on in the background here, so I might not be able to do it tonight. But if I can, look out for it. And because it will be the 3rd live show of the day, I don't know if you'll get a notification. But if you like this video and hit the bell notification icon, hopefully, and subscribe, you will hopefully be notified of that if it happens. But just look out for it. Maybe at 8:30 or something. Just see if it's come up as starting. Stop calling it QT. It's Tory time. It is. It absolutely is, my friend. Okay, thank you very much for all of your chat. Sorry I didn't get to read much out today. There's a lot to cram in. 7 minutes over. See you at 1 o'clock. And until then, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.